So, meine Damen, meine Herren, langsam aber sicher beginnt das nächste Panel. I think in a few seconds we will start with our next and kind of final session of this conference. So please stay, please, but please take your seat. And okay, where is my boss Johanna? Ah, Johanna, kommst du mal gerade? Die beiden Sachen. So, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. Okay, let's start our final session. It's about, as we can read, on film industries and on fear. There is a slash in between of it, so maybe this slash is means that film industries is the same than fear, or maybe it's the slash of I don't know, a Cronenberg slasher movie, which is kind of splitting fear and film industries. So film industries could be, on the contrary, giving us new trust. We will explore this with three guests, distinguished guests from Eastern Europe. I'm sorry for that I bring this together under this maybe colonialist term, or maybe I don't know what exactly, but we will try to find out what it is. Specifically because Elena Mikaberidze, you are coming, you are here and you are coming from Georgia. And to be honest, I was told some years ago that Georgia is no part of Europe. And why? I was asking, because I was writing something about. And they told me, and I will tell you who it is because you will be surprised. This morning you all have been at our partner conference, Go East in Wiesbaden, and Helen Gerritsen, the director of the festival, told me that, because she said Georgia is not Europe, it's post-Soviet space. So now here in this conference we are including the post-Soviet space in Europe. Welcome. So, Elena did work in a lot of fields as well. In my field as film criticism, some part. You have spent much of your life in Belgium. I'm reading here. Maybe you tell us later why. And you studied political science, but as well you're doing documentary films on Eastern Europe or something like this. Yeah. Well, your last Europe. Your last film. That's it. Now, as well about Georgia and Georgia and nationalism, and your last film, your newest film, not the last film, Blueberry Dreams, which was in the Doc Leipzig, is now shown in Go East Festival. What is it about, Blueberry Dreams? Please grab your microphone.
Hi, it's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. So, Blueberry Dreams, it's about a family living in Western Georgia, and they took part in a program called Plan the Future. It was implemented by Georgian government, USAID, European Union, and the banks to help this part of Georgia to revive after the war. So they said, let's bring back our lands and make it nice and let something nice grow. So they put some artificial blueberries and they give loans to everyone. So people who had no clue about farming, and they give crazy amount of loans. And it was nice in the beginning because it was promising you will have a better future for your kids, and at the end it's a scam of the government. So I was following 2 years a family who took this agriculture adventure, and it's a film about politics, but also about how to say family connection and love to your kids, the nature, and everything good that our Mother Earth has to offer. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yeah, then we have left to Elena. We have Labina Mitevska coming from Skopje, from Macedonia. When we first met, it was in Mannheim, Heidelberg, some years ago, and the Yugoslavian civil war was not so far away. So it was as well kind of post-Yugoslavian space, one could say. And you started as an actress, and now you're a producer and filmmaker as well. Hello, welcome. You have a new film. You have a new event, which is the Co-Produzentenpreis, the Co-Producers Award of Euremage. New film. I don't know which is your newest film. Must grab the microphone, please. Everyone has a microphone, so just pass it. That's it.
I have I'm finishing 2 films.
As a producer.
Yes, you know what? In 2 of them, I'm
A bit
acting
more
too.
in the mic. Yeah.
In 1 of them, I'm acting too. But yeah, I'm producing now. The one it's called Mother, and it's about 7 days of Mother Teresa before she becomes Mother Teresa. So she's in her 40s, and she's in India. She's the head of a school there, and we follow her 7 days when she waits to get the letter from Vatican to be allowed as a woman to go out and start her mission. So it's about struggling woman in this very man hierarchy religious society. And the other film I'm finishing is about Roma family, mother with 2 girls in Macedonia. In Macedonia, we have the biggest Roma community. I think, no, you have the biggest in Romania. I don't know. And it's, we follow.
Depends on the parameters.
Yeah, depends on the. And yeah, so now I'm finishing those and developing others. But I'm based in Belgium now.
Okay, yeah, and then we have Ada Salomon next to me from Romania, and you are a producer, very well known for in Germany, of course, as a co-producer for Toni Erdmann by Maren Ade, and then as the producer of one of the best and best known directors of Europe, which is Rado Jude, who sends his regards to this conference because he was invited as well, but as you better know than me, he's in Luxembourg doing co-production shit, as he points it. And hopefully next year or one of the next years, he will visit this conference as well. Welcome, Ada.
Thank you very much.
I guess we will start with 2 questions. One more formal questions just to get rid of the question is, last time you're coming from Go East Festival, so the East, Eastern Europe or so on. Does this term make sense? Or is it still a kind of, I don't know, maybe colonialist, but even a little bit too general term for very different countries and spaces, which were in other times of the history called Middle Europe or, yeah, as well Eastern Europe, of course, but just in a geographical sense. So does the term East make sense in the relation to Western or other European countries, Northern, Southern, or maybe in the way of self-estimation, of self-identity, that as former states of the so-called Eastern Bloc, you share certain experiences and certain historical period together, as well in the Warsaw Pact and in all these Cold War things. Does it make sense in any way, and in which one? Let's start with Ada, and then we pass to you.
Well, we have fear as a theme, and I have to confess that I fear labeling and boundaries. So, if you ask me who I am, I think I'm a European citizen. I think that this boundaries, these limitations of nation, and I'm not talking about identity. Identity is one thing, but when we speak about this, I realize over the last couple of years where I don't believe in this structuring because we are so mobile now, and I was just thinking of the simple thing. I have much more in common with someone living in Brussels, for instance, than with the people that are living in a small village at the border with Serbia. And same for them, they have much more with the Serbians over the border, over the Danube, than they have with me in Bucharest. And so I consider myself that I'm a European citizen. I'm a Bucarestoise, if you want. I mean, I really belong to the culture of Bucharest, of my city where I was born, I grew up, and so. But beyond that, I'm a European. I'm sharing much more the global, if you want, values of Europe as a. I grew up in this culture of being European, belonging to this heritage. Then, when we talk about, maybe we can call it the global East to follow the global South concept. When we talk about this space in the east of Europe, I think we are sharing a good bunch of trauma together in different ways, different intensities, different experiences indeed. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, for us, having someone traveling to Yugoslavia was really like going to Occident or Hungary already. It was really something. Then the things reversed. When the war started, Romania became Occident for the Serbians in terms of possibility of getting things and get out of the space and so on and so forth. So things are shifting so fluidly. It's complicated, but we share a common trauma, and more with some, less with others, but that's like in any family. Um, and I think it's important to speak about identity and about the things that are common, that we understand in a certain way, but also in film. So my experience as a producer, while co-producing with countries from my region, it's that we can make our stories more powerful because we know what we are talking about, and also we can find a common ground to transmit this kind of reality to people that doesn't have a clue. And this goes over the borders of land geographically, but goes also in between generations. Because what I experienced as a kid from nowadays Romania, sometimes it's looking like at me when I'm telling stories from what we experienced in school and this and that, like I'm an alien. That's not possible. How come you couldn't protest? How come you allowed them to put you to go and do these voluntary works or whatever? How come you've been in the army? And you wanted to be there? No. How come it was mandatory? And all kind of little things that are that have nothing to do with the borders, with the geographical borders or different civilizations. It's just different generations, and then it comes to this kind of understanding. So I think we have things in common, and we have a common voice in a way, but we are different. And actually, this is the charm of Europe and the power of Europe. Our different identities and our strengths is coming from this diversity. That's my true belief.
Yeah, we will come back to this Europe and stories, specific stories. We will come in a minute. First of all, I pass the same questions about, do you have, to you and to you, do you have anything to add to these thoughts on meaning of the East and the perception of the East. Of course, you may interrupt each other and speak to each other here. I'm just the moderator.
I grown up in Macedonia, in Balkans, and I grown up with such a admiration and appreciation of East Europe, and I loved it. I was always so proud, you cannot imagine. And I, you know, I remember when I was 15, I started because it was my father and my mother. I read it all Dostoevsky, all Tolstoy, all, you know, everything. And on my 18, my family, my sister and my brother, we go to New York, and we are more well educated than somebody from private schools. So for me, my system, what my gives me, I was always very proud of where I come and who I am.
So this was the education of, let's say, old Europe, in a way,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Dostoevsky even and Tolstoy, they are Russians, so one could
Of
say
course, of
they
course.
are the writers of your oppressors. Some people
No,
from
but we read it
but some people
Beckett, everything,
today,
you
but
know.
some people of Ukraine today, they want to cancel them. So
Just
of course
crazy.
not.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But so for me, you know, and then, but in the same time, because I come from a very small country, I was always pushed by my parents that our limits are, the world is our limit. So, you know, I went to study in Denmark, in America, then I live in London, in Gothenburg, in Germany for years, in Berlin, now in Britain. So, you know, so I always loved this freedom. I cannot get attached to a country. My country and my heart is Macedonia, but I love that I'm citizen of Germany in one part of my life. But I'm still very, and I don't have problem. I have problem when people look at me down because I come from Balkan and East Europe. But with my knowledge, with my presence, with my woman charm, I'm always beating them because we are who we are and we have what we have. And I know that, you know, for a long time they would do, oh, use East Europe or oh, Balkan, but I always feel above it because I was so well in my skin and who I am that I never had any complex of it. So actually now how Europe is getting more and more divided, I think I'm even more proud to be from Balkan and East Europe. And I'm coming from a country who was longing to be in Europe and they don't want us in Europe. So, you know, fuck it, sorry.
So now,
Okay.
Elena.
I was born in Georgia. From one side, very communist Soviet family, my mother's side, and the other side, my dad was really liberal. Let's be free forever. And then the war started, and both sides started to kill each other, unfortunately. So we moved. I ended up in Belgium, in a European country where I grew up, and I did not find my place. But little by little, I could have a voice, be angry on some European new laws about being angry of new far rights rising, a lot of stuff. I could be angry on Georgia, and that's what my dad told me. To be European is to be able to be free and angry, and that's what's happening in Georgia right now. Because since October we had new election, and now we took like a authoritarian direction. We have no more freedom to express ourselves, and a lot of Europeans are laughing on Georgia, saying, why you want so much to be in Europe? Europe is declining, it's not like before, etc. And it's not like being in Europe, it's just the values, the human rights, and all the things that just to be free, to say what we just think. And that's why we are fighting in the streets since 5 months already. And I just made a film, and the protagonist of my film, it's a mother of 2 young boys, and it's about also the European dream. And when I asked her, do you want your kids to go to Europe? And she said, no, I want Europe to be here. I want my kids to grow up in a fair, safe country where they can wear pink earrings and read Dostoevsky, but also listen to metal or I don't know, and just to be who they are. And that's what I want. So it's not about European Union or things like this. No, it's just about freedom, and that's what I was taught since I was a kid, and that's why my mother and my dad can live together, even if they are coming from both sides of the conflict, because they could be free in this relation, and they could just listen, and that's yeah, the key, I think. So yeah, maybe I'm a bit Soviet, a bit this, a bit this, but at the end, yeah, it's humanity, and it's a bit cheesy what I say. I'm
No,
sorry,
no,
but
not
it's
at
what
all.
we are striving for. Yeah.
Not at all.
So just to be human and to have normal
Mm.
relationship with all our neighbors, and that's all. That's a European thing
As you
for me, idea.
as you all three mentioned very specifically Europe and the fact what Europe means for you, we will talk about this a bit more. But before, I want to come to another key word, which is the keyword of our conference this year, which is fear, Angst in German. And I would like to know from you, uh, do you feel fear? And fear, what are you afraid of? Yeah, fear in front of what? And I'm asking you, of course, as human beings, as women which are active politically and artistically, and as well as filmmakers, because maybe there are specific kinds of fear for which you feel as part of the film industry. Who wants to start?
I don't mind. It's interesting that that you brought for this panel on fear three women.
No, no, we had all the panels on fear, even with some men,
Okay,
some
okay,
few men were
okay, okay,
here.
okay, okay. So, but still, it's interesting that it's three fearless women. I dare to say
Maybe to give an
uh,
example.
that we're facing different challenges. I'm. I think I never been as afraid as I am today. Um, Not as a woman, not as a filmmaker, but as a citizen. Um, I think I really think that that there is the similarities that I'm seeing in the world. It's not limited to Europe, but of course Europe is home, so I feel it even more. Um, the similarity that I'm seeing with the 30s, the late 30s, are giving me goosebumps. And the more I'm rereading about that period and how things were shifting and what is going on in my own country, and how the democracy it's threatened. Um, this is my biggest fear for the time being. Um, but you know, it's always good to see the if there is a full part of the glass, and I think there is a full part of the glass, because this threat, I think it's uniting them. It's again bringing us together. You know, it's like the cells in the body, the healthy cells, when they find a dirt or a virus, they all
It's
unite in
an
order
immune
to,
system.
yeah,
Immune
the
system.
immune system. So I think that the immunity of Europe is put on at work nowadays, and we have the occasion to react, or the only opportunity to overcome the challenge ahead of us by staying united. And again, the other thing that we kind of tended to forget, and starting to unify formatting the culture, looking much more into commercialization, monetization of the cultural products. And I think it's about time to understand that the progress it's coming through culture and education and each identity. The moment that we become globalized and all the same, it's the end. And the tool that we have, it's our cultural identity and our cultural strengths together with the education that were challenged in the past period. And maybe it's a wake up call. It's just a wake up call, and we will manage. But I think that yeah, we have a chance to really do what we kind of out of our comfort bubble we forgot in the last maybe decade. Yeah.
And so, in general, culture gives you hope. Is the culture coming from let's say from the citizens and from the artists, but as well from those citizens who are part of an audience for art house and art? Or do you trust in the institutions? We have big institutions like European Union and like Eurimage, but as well we have the governments, we have the parties, and we have some other society institutions who could
With all the
help it.
respect, I think it's a wake up call for the European institutions as well, that in the last couple of years, they were really looking into this so-called access to culture, but in reality, the content was evaluated more and more in numbers and just numbers and profit, forgetting about the immaterial profit that our work is bringing. And I think it's about time to leave aside the American model of making money, money, money with culture and come back to the much more or invaluable asset that the cultural products are and what they bring in the society as food for thought, as mental health, as invitation to dialogue, because now we are in all this virtual world of social media and so where everything is a monologue. We are not debating anymore. We are just throwing out what we have. That's why a lot of people, not the Georgians or the Serbians, but a lot of people are expressing their rage only online. They don't go on the streets anymore because they think that they gave what they have to give on this virtual media, which is not true. It's not as visible as the real presence of the people. And then the cultural community, all the artists I think they are leaders. Look at all these movements that are led by students. Us in the old good times. I mean, like in the 60s, like it's no novelty, but but it's still the young generation, but the young educated generation that can bring change. And I think that this is our power, but we need to use it correctly and to treasure it.
Mhm. Elena and Labina, uh, just Ada just said that she fears as a citizen. She does not feel fear as a filmmaker. Do you share this impression, or and why, or do you as well fear some things as filmmakers?
So when I make films, I have to be very careful in Georgia because, again, coming from both sides of the conflict, I have to be careful with my words, with what I show, because I don't want my family, which is in Abkhazia, to get, I don't know, threats or something. So I'm always fearing for my relatives. Today I fear more because now if you go on the streets in Tbilisi, you can go to jail. It happens to my colleagues. Some of my colleagues have been detained for 5 months already with no perspective of freedom. So, and it's just because they say what they think in their films or publicly. So, yeah, there are new fears coming. But like 5 years ago when I shot this feature film, I got arrested by the Russians. I was not scared. It was okay. But the fear that my family could be detained or hurt, this is very hard for me. And I'm always like jungling with, I don't know, I'm very careful with it. But globally speaking, the fear I have the most when I see the state of the world is the end of empathy. It's like we are like nothing can touch us anymore. It's so common to see wars, to see people dying on TV, on our smartphones. It's so easy. I see death every day, and it became my daily life in a lot of parts of the world, like yeah, in Georgia, in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in I don't know, in America. Everybody kill each other. Ukraine, my neighbors. I was in Ukraine last year for a festival, and I was scared. I was looking at the sky. I wanted to show my films because there is a Ukrainian storyline inside, and I felt it was important. But I was alone there, and I was really scared. And I was like, "Why today we have to still live under a war? Wars? It's for me. It's a catastrophe." And yeah, like you said, we need a wake-up call because it leads to a like a global destruction, and it's awful. And it's because we are not we are deshumani. How to say this word? I don't know. Dehumanization.
Dehumanizing.
Yeah, the people. Yeah, and we lost our empathy, and we don't care. So it's my biggest fear that human are not human anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a very interesting new point, this end of empathy. Lavina first.
Yeah, I completely agree with Ada and you. It's, you know, we have big fears.
Oh, sorry, here's some cell phone ringing all the time, I think here somewhere, and it irritates. So if possible,
Probably is mine.
you switch. Oh. Okay, probably
I
yours.
have a.
Hollywood is calling, finally.
Oh, I put it there so
Almost.
you don't
No,
get.
no, it's fine.
No,
No,
it's
please.
not. It's
Okay.
not me. It's not me. It's not. No, I have. Yeah. No, you know, it's. I never. I think fear is very healthy feeling. I think to live with fear is healthy because it's make us more human. My problem is that many people, they don't feel fear, and because of that we are losing the empathy. And more we are closing in ourselves, and more we communicate with ourselves, more and more we don't go out, and especially the young generation. And I fear of all these things. And as a filmmaker, as an artist, I fear of my freedom to speak and to create freely. And with each film I make, I'm in fear. But literally, you know, I was thinking, okay, now I made a film, it's success, it's good. Next film, I will not have this fear. And it's again the fear. And it's again, and that's it. And on the end, I realized, okay, you know, with the fear, we are more brave, and we go against something. We create something new. So it's not so bad, but it's not easy with live with constant fear, because, you know, I grew up in Balkans where I was fearing about the war, and then, you know, you always fear of something, and now you wake up every day and there is a new war, and you accept it. You are not, you know, we accepted that there are wars all around. But I think as a filmmakers we are in privileged position, because I think, and as an artist, that we can change things with what we are doing, because we are working in the most massive media. People want and are watching film, and we are creating debates and discussions. So I think we are becoming more clever of how to use our craft to go and speak loudly outside. And I think this is what I learned, and this is what we are doing with every film of ours. We are like voyagers, like, traveling. In Yugoslavia, we had these people who were selling books from door to door. I think filmmakers, we become this. We go and sell, but this time we sell cultures, and we sell stories, and we discuss, and we open our hearts. And I think this is the only way this world to be changed. Really, it's through the culture. We need to. It's so materialized that we need to go back to.
But what kind of culture, what kind of arts, speaking of film specifically, because we know there are different types of movies, and one could do a lot of horror movies out of contemporary times, and some people are doing it. On the other hand, it's a saying that in difficult times, in dangerous times, we always have a boom for comedy and for kind of light entertainment. How would you describe the films which you are interested in and which you want to do or are already doing? What kind of function or role, what kind of role do they play in this situation?
I think we can have different kind of roles, and we have such a great audience in this world, and in Europe we have clever audience. So you can do so many different types of stories. I just wanted to give you an example, like one of my last films we did, the Happiest Man in the World. It talks about Sarajevo today, and it talks about two people who meet on a dating event, and suddenly, little by little, first is funny, you have all this stupid question, but finally, little by little, you see something is awkward, something is strange, and you realize that actually he is the one who was sniperist during the war, and she was his first victim. So she got wounded, and she was in coma, and 30 years he cannot live with this. So he wants to meet her and ask for forgiveness. And we present this film, and of course nobody wants to think about, the Bosnian war is finished 30 years ago, but the consequences are still present, and we'll need generation and generation to pass. So the film got distributed in France, and Teona went there, and in France how is it, they want discussion after the film, and they're beautiful and clever discussions. And she was frightened after the first. She accepted to go for 1 month around city, and after the first one, she said, I was, I said, how was the screening? It was fantastic, but we all cried. I said, who cried? She said, me and the audience. So I said, why you cried? She said, because it was a Palestinian guy who said, no, it was a Ukrainian guy who said to me, how do you want me to ask for forgiveness? How I can forgive somebody who killed my family? How, but and this is the power of cinema. I'm sorry, but this is the power of cinema. This is where you think, we do and we change. And it was 3 hours discussion about Ukraine. His family was killed. So how? But it will happen in 20 years. He will need to. If he wants to continue living, we need to ask for forgiveness. We need to look in the future. And I know it's boring to watch film about Sarajevo today and all these people with trauma, but this is the power I'm speaking of, that we have the power and we can use this power. And of course, some of us will don't like it, some of us will be bored, but different kind of films, different kind of.
No, but this is a very interesting point because you are mentioning now a type of movies which is deep into a very specific historical situation and in a way deals with history. It's not a documentary, it's fiction, but it's a kind of enhanced reality. On the other hand, we have many Georgian films. Of course, it's always a bit superficial to put them together, but Georgian films who there's one type you could call them not escaping, but kind of going into a dream world and into surreal, dreamy situations. And we have another type of films which are maybe surreal nightmare situations. If I look at one of your famous female directors, which won awards in San Sebastian and in I think in Venice, with her two films, I'm just looking for the name, but you know whom I'm thinking about.
Dea Kulumbekashvili.
That's it. Thank you. So, do we have some kind of specific, besides we are all Europeans, does it exist that we have specific, let's say, national or regional languages or national or regional ways of dealing with fear, with historical experiences? I could come to Romanian films as well. There is a very specific and, by the way, very successful type of movies, and Radu Jude is a director who most of his films are in kind of funny. They are funny because they're very serious, yeah, bitter, but at least we can laugh. So please share.
Yes, in Georgian cinema, we have this tradition to make it funny, to laugh about the government, to laugh about the bureaucracy. The opening of Go East was My Grandmother. It's a film in the 20s made, and how they could already laugh about all this system. From my perspective, I'm also trying to make it light, to have humor in my films. And I studied so long. I was studying political science, and I wanted to be peacemaker and how to make people shake their hands. And I studied psychology, and I was looking a lot of all these like big books. And then at the end, it was so easy. You just have to show that the other is not so different than us. It's so easy. All the human wants the same: food, friends, love, uh, be well, have a good nature around. That's it. And if you show in the films that a Georgian, an Abkhazian, Ukrainian, they share the same things and thoughts and fears. So I'm trying to do this in my films, to really not separate people, but on the other side to put them together. So yeah, I don't know if I will achieve this, but I'm trying through this way. Yeah, but it's getting hard. Like I'm writing a script since 10 years. It was a pure comedy, and today it's shifting because we cannot laugh. And at some point, it's enough. Like now, it's not again wake up call. It's time now. It's not funny anymore. But yeah, it's not about funny. It's about like, yeah, when before making a film, I do a research. I meet people, I make interviews, and they're not crying. They are just saying we live a life awful at the border with the war, etc. But we live, and to live is not to cry every day. It's just to try to have a normal life. When I arrived in Ukraine, in Kiev, it was sunny. People would get ice creams for their kids. They would have a walk, and then when the night comes, they would hide. And that's life today. But still smiling.
Yeah, I think we need that. I think we need the laughter and the joy and the emotions and yeah, well, if we we will be doing things too intellectual or only intellectual, dark, and so, what are we going to do? To have an audience just continue to preach to the convicted? and I don't want this anymore. That's why we started even to look into how we can get into series and getting a wider audience than the art house audience, so that we know we share the same values. Maybe there are some things that are more empathic or are raising more awareness. Changing, I think it's a big word. Changing, I don't know, but just shifting the
Influencing.
gaze
Yeah,
a
shifting.
bit, opening the discussion. It's something, and for this you need to reach on different level of audiences. Why is Shakespeare surviving all these centuries? It's because it's speaking on m- many layers, on many people. I mean, you can see the philosophy behind, you can see the political and historical things behind, you can see the simple human stories. So it's something for everyone. I will never forget, I was moderating in a retrospective of Wim Wenders in Bucharest. I was moderating the discussion, having a discussion with the audience after the screening of Lisbon Stories. And it was so exciting to see how different one loved the poetry of it. The other loved the architecture and the way Wim managed to navigate along the beauty, the soul of Lisbon. Another one was just fascinated by the way the sound maker, the sound effects maker, it's creating sounds and the kind of music out of the sounds for the movies. The fado, I mean, each and every one according to its own sensitivity has brought with him something from this film. And then this opinion started to interfere and I didn't thought of that, but that's it's very nice. It's not only the poetry, it's also this music that you are speaking about, that it's fantastic. Yeah. And it was a fantastic dialogue. I didn't need to do anything anymore, because they were starting to discuss among them about a film that was an having quite some time already, but and that's the beauty of it. And I think that art can heal, and art can be um, if if not really healing, but the calmant, how do you call this, the thing that it's lowering the pain, um, tranquilizer, painkiller, the painkiller maybe. It's the painkiller. I think that's a good word. Painkiller. It's a painkiller for fears, for doubts, for and also allowing the audience or a big group of people to get out of their everyday reality and travel in a different reality. Sometimes it's painful, the reality that they are discovering, but then they feel that they are not alone, or it's like, oh my god, I'm complaining about these little things in my life, but look at these people and look at them, how courageous they are, and how me from the comfort of the middle of Bucharest, where there is nowhere, I mean, it's on the border, and we are Europeans and we can travel without any visa now and this and that, and I'm complaining because I don't know. I was not selected in I don't know which festival, while the Georgians are fighting for their right to speak out their mind. I mean, this kind of realization of where you are and how lucky you are, and that's also when I'm thinking back, like we were complaining about Europe, that it's this and that, and now when there is the fear that this European Union might dismantle or transform in a wild animal, it's like, oh my god, guys, we were living so good in the past 30 years. Excuse me. Um, it's but and I think that this kind of reflection and the possibility and the access should be given. And it's very interesting. I was talking once with a film critic theoretician that is very much involved into horror and science fiction movies. And in fact, they are very political. Most of them are very political. All the post-apocalyptic films, they are talking about a fucked up society, about the planet being destroyed, about what bad things we are doing and where we can get. And it's not just pure entertainment. There is a lot of thinking behind, and well, it's not my sensitivity. It's not the type of thrillers. Yes, horror less. Um but I'm valuing them differently after having this understanding.
So you want to add something? No. No. So if we were talking about Europe all the time here. The Europe you are talking about, what exactly do you mean with it? We have the European Union. We have a kind of value system and way of life, which is a cultural and a political way of life, which one could say it's a kind of universalist pattern, which could as well be well, in a way taken by people in Asia or Latin America or America. Sometimes it is, but most times it is not, or only in parts. Or could you specify a little bit on the Europe you are talking about? You are all coming from regions, no, not Georgia, sorry, which were formerly Roman Empire. So it could be as well this. I don't know. What do you mean with Europe? Because in a way, maybe we need a kind of narrative of Europe, as well for those who are not convinced so far, or for the young people who need to be educated a little bit. And during this conference, we were speaking about this lack of a common narrative for Europe. Maybe you have some ideas. You, please.
When I think about Europe, I think about its beautiful values, and I think every European of European Union should fight today to keep those ones. And it's like I said before, Georgians, they don't want to be part of this European Union that now becomes with all these extremes and all this bad people coming into power.
So it's
but
freedom of speech, for
it's
instance,
freedom, yes,
freedom
of
of
speech,
press,
and also
of art.
yes, and also to keep the human rights and to defend the minorities, defend the woman, defend the
a legal system.
yes, a legal system. But that's why I
No
want
borders,
to get for
freedom of borders as well. Yeah.
And I think it's not only Georgia who should fight, not only Ukraine who should fight. We should all. It's our war. And one thing also I want to say: each war of the world should be our war also, because each kid killed should be our kid. You know what I mean? It's not far away. It's also my. It should. How to say?
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
for a long while, this is a crucial point, I think, the war question, because for a long time, the art scene was more or less pacifist scene, and it was a scene which said stop all wars. Now we have a situation where we, if this we exists, did not start a war, but we should and we have to react to it and win. Okay, yeah, but what does win mean? This is a long discussion, but when one could argue that through this new militarization, we need a lot of money to build up a European whatever military complex to be able to defend. And we need as well a society which is in a mental state to lead a war, to go for war. Maybe we do this, but maybe this changing of mental state, this changing of economic measures, as well changes Europe. And it means less liberty, and it means less money for welfare state or for art. It could be another process of this neoliberalist system of bringing down liberties.
I will add one. I will just say one thing. I think the fact that we should be more go to more militarization, it's already the wake up call. You know, it already should shock us all, and we should just act now. Because can you imagine that this is a solution? That's no. I am
No, no.
I'm saying that European leaders are talking. Oh, we should have a European army. We should defend. We should go there. We should cut the cultural fund. We should cut. No, it's the contrary. We should put more in culture, put more in dialogue, put more in health, put more in education.
But in your opinion, is culture a weapon?
Yes. It's
A weapon.
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay.
No, it's an instrument of peace. It's better than a weapon.
Yeah, but for some people, weapons are instruments
Or
of peace, and for some not. Yeah, of course.
No, I, 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 I am frustrated by European politicians, and I'm not frustrated now. I'm frustrated from when I started reading newspapers when I was 12. And until today, I wake up in the morning and I start reading newspapers. And I was always frustrated. And because of that, I choose to be an artist, because I don't want to be these stupid politicians who do nothing and we sit and wait. I wanted to act different way. And I think we act different way. And I don't want to be, if I wanted to be a politician, I would have been. I have a capacity. All of us have more capacity than what we have now, all the politicians in Europe. So, and I think we should, as I agree, the only weapon we have now is culture. And it is long shot for us until they realize, but we have. And Europe, for me, Europe is the best place, not because united Europe and Eurovision, but because just to be a privilege to live in a country with so much culture, with so much history, with so many beautiful languages, with so different mentality, with so different for me, every time I'm in train crossing Europe, I'm like, oh, this is the best place to live. So for me, my job, when I started, I decided to do co-productions because I wanted this energy. Every film I make with 4 or 5 countries, yes, it's difficult. It's very difficult, but it's beautiful because you have French and Belgium and Macedonian and Romanian and Italian, and they don't get along, and after that you need, but it's beautiful because it's the creativity which comes in first place and you make something spectacular. So I think this is the beauty. The beauty of culture of Europe is not united, it's diversity. And we should keep, we should not have borders, but the beauty is that I speak Macedonian and I'm proud of that. And it's a Cyrillic language, so this is all what is they teach us that is negative. We should take it as an advantage and bloom it in a culture.
Ada, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back to the question, what is Europe for me? And for me, it's the heritage from the Greek democracy and philosophy up to all the music, the literature, the painting, the architecture in all its complexity. I belong there. These are my values. These are my roots. And they are common with all the people in Europe. Being them for, I mean, I'm reading, I don't know, Pirandello, but I'm reading Ibsen in the same time with the same pleasure, and with the same soul, the same participation. I understand it. It speaks about me, and I feel I'm in there. Is it the same when I'm reading Marquez? Mm, mm, the, because there also there are some roots, and there is a European heritage he inherited even in a different space, but it's more distant. It's more magic. It's more like going into another world, and this is Europe for me. And in terms of what it is, well, when we talk about what Europe bodies should do today with the money, okay, I think we should be able to defend ourselves, and it was neglected and let for others to decide on that. And I think we should do it within ourselves in Europe. We cannot ignore that. We can, uh, but we need the intelligence and the cultural background and the cultural knowledge to fight the virtual war. And there we should be very strong. We were talking the other day about fake constructs and conspiracies, and how we should be educated to be able to see the truth and the fake. And this is for me the biggest danger in terms of artificial intelligence. And we need to prepare I mean, definitely my son is much more able to see what's fake and what's true than me. But I'm learning, and I'm making efforts, and I'm trying to educate myself. So I think the investment shouldn't be cut from education and culture, because they are, maybe I don't know if they are weapons, but they are definitely safety vest, waist coat. And then we need them in the, it's not to cut from there, maybe cut from the cars industry, maybe cut from the pharmaceutical all craziness, not research, maybe cut from the food consumerist industry. We can live with less. This I know for sure. I experienced that in my childhood. And look at me, I'm healthy.
Romanian experience.
Yes, but
No.
it's a common experience also. We didn't have much, but we survived. I didn't suffer during the communism. Um, the only thing that physical that was bothering me was the cold. If you want me to make me speak, put me in a fridge, and probably I will talk, because it was so cold in our apartments. But not food. I can live with very little and very simple. And the other thing that I was missing during the communism was the freedom of speech, the ability to speak out loud. And even then, I was daring. I was daring. And this is something that also I experienced even after the fall, because I was confronting the institutions. I was always speaking my truth out loud in a decent way. I hate noise. I hate the loud voices, and I'm not a confrontational person. But explaining and fighting for my rights, I noticed that against the common opinion that then you will be cornered and they will hate you. And no, the effect is that they respect and a little bit fear you, especially when you were proven true and you dismantled one or two or three decisions. You are more respected because they fear a little bit. So this, I think, it's also another effect of having a strong cultural heritage background, you name it, education, that you can find arguments. You can have the tools to defeat the one that is just no, this is the Messiah and he will save us, he will be our leader that will. Hey guys, let's speak a little bit about this kind of messianic leaders that were. Do you know about this? Do you know about that? Do you know? And then little by little, you can shift a little bit. And there was another thing, but maybe I will remember later.
Later, Elena.
Yes, I just wanted to add something to what you said about the heritage. We always talk about the positive heritage we got, philosophy, rights, ideas, this, but we also have to take the bad and the negative heritage we got from Europe. Yeah, the colonialism, the wars that we had, and also not forget. But like, I just take one example. In Brussels, there was an African museum, and it was awful. I was ashamed to go there. It was like a zoo, like literally a zoo. And some years ago, the Belgian government decided to make a step and to change it and to take responsibility of what they did in Congo. So they changed completely the museum. And finally, in history classes, we have a class about colonialism. So it led to understand why there are so many people from Congo in Brussels. And so we accept more that it's our responsibility. We destroyed their country. So it's like this. And it leads to less racism. It leads to less hate and less war. So it's easy. So put money in education, put money in culture, in museums, in responsibility and accountability. That's the word that's what I wish for in Europe, the accountability, that we, we get what we planted. So now it's time to just, revise our history and make it.
And get the things out of the carpet, from under the carpet.
Yes, exactly. And not put money in the defense or something. It's not what will help. What will help is to say sorry, ask for forgiveness, try the dialogue, explain why it's like this in Europe today. Why? And not thinking, oh, well, this extreme far right party just won the election out of the blue. No, you let it happen because you just avoid all this history that led to this. So it's about opening the cupboards and looking under the carpets, like you said. Exactly, it's exactly this. And
So-
films can help.
Yeah, so we can see that instead of some fear in the air, you are more or less, in general, optimist on the long run, or maybe not. Ada is taking a deep breath.
I think I'm a survivor. Well, you should be naive to be optimist in these times, I think. I think about myself that I am a survivor, and I follow the path because I don't know else.
Yeah, but at least you're optimist one can survive. Let's put it this way. And we have, of course, we have to make a list to send to Brussels where to cut some money and where to put some money after cutting it. This we can do for the next year, kind of this kind of list for Brussels. Before we close this session, I would like to ask you for your questions or remarks or criticism, if necessary. Do you have anything to ask, to criticize or to? There are enough microphones in the room, but are there enough questions in the room? Auch auf Deutsch natürlich. Wer auf Deutsch fragen möchte, kann das tun. Das übersetzen wir. If not, yes, we have one or two.
Thank you so much. You have so many nice words and like sentences, like which is very beautiful to listen to. This morning we were discussing also how to reach the public and how. So it's very beautiful to have all this culture which to propose, but does the culture always reach the people, to include them in our society, and to be a diverse society living together. So I would just like to put out this question.
Can I?
Thank you.
I can answer. That's why it needs to be coming from institution. Institution should give a positive message, and then to schools, to books, history books, and then reach the kids, and then they go to cultural activities, and then it's a thing that the government also should. Yeah, it's a chain of things. Culture should not be like in some city, European city, not accessible, so expensive. I was a student in Paris. I could not attend any exhibition, like, because I was a foreign student, so I had not this like pass, so it was impossible. So I was like, okay, this. I'm not for this, and I'm sure in Paris there are a lot of people who cannot just go see a play or exhibition. In Brussels, we were talking, it's more accessible. In Georgia, it's so expensive to go to a cinema. So we are filmmakers. We are a group of 400 filmmakers. We are going village to village with our, how to say, mobile cinema. All the summer we did last year and this summer also, to show films and discuss everywhere. So it's open, free, and accessible. And some people, sometimes there's only one person coming, but it's worth it. It's how it works, little by little. Yeah, make festivals that are accessible, open, where people can just be who they are and not judge. Yeah.
I think, no matter how much, me personally, I complain about platforms and the change which is obviously happening in our industry. For some things, you see what is happening with adolescents. It's now in schools in England, and it's widely, you as a parent, you are scared. Really, I could not sleep for days. And when I read that the parliaments of England, they agreed to show it to children and to discuss. So I think, yes, it's not easy to be reached, but we see that things are changing and people want to, and I agree, it should be through the system. Some things needs to be through the system, needs to be through education, but little by little, I think we will reach somewhere. We need to hope. I'm optimist.
And I think that it's this kind of investment, because what we are doing in culture, it's like research. You don't discover the vaccine from the first try. You need to do 100 films, and you need to invest in this research to put in this, with knowing that is an investment. It's not lost money. Not all of them will perform. Not all of them will be discussed in the parliament, but maybe 5, maybe 10. And it's also what I was talking earlier about, having layers of understanding and being for a wider audience. But this can be done by people that do have a cultural heritage, that they I'm seeing my work as my civic commitment. I'm not seeing as a business. I don't know how to make money. I know how to handle money responsibly, but I will never get rich out of this. The richness, it's, the moment when someone is coming from the audience and asking me, how on earth did you know my story? And it's an engineer from the Emirates that it's speaking about a Romanian film.
But
Yeah,
but allow me to put some water in the wine,
please.
because in a way I share everything what you said, but wouldn't it be a bit too simple just to reduce film, which is at the end art, a piece of art, to a tool for democratization or for education? I grew up with films, let's say, of Chaplin, of John Ford, of Truffaut, of others, and they were not films which would be discussed in parliament. They were not films to shake up mothers about the state of youth. I like adolescence, yeah, but it is, for me, it would be a reduction of art if we just see it as a different kind of
I dare
education
to
tool.
contradict you. All the
Do it,
Chaplin
please.
films for
Yes,
me
they are. I agree.
so social, politically
Absolute.
engaged, and so. And every simple love story, it has something. I don't believe in the artist in the ivory tower.
Yeah,
The artist, a contemporary artist that is doing abstract painting, belongs to us, to the society. It's living in a certain circumstances with certain values that are consciously or unconsciously transferred in their work. Don't tell me that there is art for art. I'm not buying this.
I just wanted to say that my favorite film is Jurassic Park 1. But I can say that it's
very
about
political film.
very political. It's about the power of the human being. How far can he go? How far can he play with the nature? And it's completely crazy. And what cinema gives in a comedies or a entertainment thing is the freedom. It's a freedom to express, and that's political. Even a silly love story is political because you have the right to love who you want, or to to express yourself. It's already a political step. In some country they can't even fall in love. So I think every film is political. Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
I don't agree. I think you know, yes, some films are political, some are not. And we have space, time, money for everything. You know, we don't need we don't need to learn. For me, don't need to learn always something.
No.
You know, I agree. We should
I
make
just
this.
wanted to add
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
point. There
But
is
you
some
know, yeah, I have
sense in
every
the
day.
senseless.
I studied history of art and archaeology, and you know, you go through history of paintings, and there are periods. They're ridiculous. Don't know that today you decide if this is art or not. But we need it in that moment because it reflects our time, and it reflects our reality, and reflect our anger and our need for something revolutionary. So I think the world is so big and so beautiful that really we have space for everything.
Johanna, now we have space for you.
Um, Talking about the wake up call, talking about our perfect skill set for doing counter propaganda, for example, talking about the threat of social media. I wonder, why are we so quiet still? We filmmakers. I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm a film shower. I'm and also, aren't we ourselves only thinking we are dependent on the structure of government funding? Can't we get rid of that regarding these urgent times?
I can just say that since 2 years we are boycotting our government and our public funding because we don't want to be funded by people who um, are killing us, yes, and also we don't want to be under censorship or in Georgia now, if you want to make a film, you have to say beautiful things about the history of Georgia. You don't have to wear colorful things because it's propaganda, European propaganda even. So we decided to say no. And when I say we, it's a huge number. It's a majority of filmmakers and film professional editors, producers, directors of Georgia. Like, we are almost 500, and it's been 2 years. So now you won't see for a long time a Georgian film coming out because we don't have this opportunity. But still, we believe that, I was talking with you in the car that during the wars or the worst times, films are made under, so it's, we don't depend on it's possible not to depend on the government. Yeah. And also, if what
It's not possible because you don't make films, and it's pity.
Yeah, but it's you. We
It's
can make.
pity.
Imagine we are 400 and we can make a film. Solidarity. I'm an editor.
No,
You can.
it's
This
it's
is possible.
fantastic what you do,
But
we
we don't
should
live.
not
Yeah.
be put in this kind of position.
Yeah, of course,
We
because
don't
uh,
reverse. You know, it's 2 hours, 2 years. Somebody to ask you not to create, it's putting you in jail. So I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous, and you should not be left alone. You know, we should all scream, and European, we should
I have a practical
do
solution. When you want to make a co-production, you have to have the funding of your state to enter a co-production. And I want to ask European Union and European official who make the laws to change this, that a company, a production company independently can apply for a co-production even not having the state money. And that would
for Ukraine.
they did this, yes.
We made this.
So maybe
we
for
should
Georgia
leave
it's
Georgia.
possible
Yeah.
also, because otherwise it's lost. We are lost.
Exactly.
Elena, I have a question. What happens to the money? Are there other Georgian filmmakers using the money, producing
Yes, there are
films?
like 10 people, big
Okay.
names, Ovashvili, this, who are pro-government, and they get all the funds.
Same like
So-
in Russia.
And
Glorifying.
is there protest against?
Of course,
There
it's
is.
been 2 years. We are protesting every day,
Okay. And-
but
Don't
but we are in jail. Some of my
and
colleagues are in
what,
jail.
What do the people say? The people, the audience accept it, or
No, we are. Yeah, everybody is protesting in the street since 5 months since it's happening, and we have this group called Georgian Cinema is Under Threat. So we are 500 almost, and yeah, and we just want independent, alive, and free cinema. And we want to build a municipal cinema because we don't have. We just have this big like a multiplex, and it's too expensive for people to go to cinema. So Georgian cinema doesn't even arrive to Georgian audience. Only rich can afford. And that's a big problem also for us. So that's why we did this mobile cinema to show our films. Yeah. And I'm okay if a pro-government wins the competition, but I want to be equal in the competition. That's all. I want the
Same
jury.
example in Hungary. They are
Yeah.
completely blocked, which is horrible. So I think Arte should look to this country where you have fantastic filmmakers and you don't depend of the government. And you know, you have Hungary. We can give you a list. Ukraine, Georgia, some very interesting.
And very soon, Slovakia.
Slovakia. No, many countries. I remember. I just short. I remember 6 years ago we did a film, and you know Macedonia is a very democratic country, and I never dreamed that this will happen to me. So we did a film which was called When the Day Had No Name, and you follow. It was based on a real event. We follow 5 between 16 and 18 years young guys who, and in that moment, because it was a conflict between Albanian and Macedonian, and one morning they are found dead. So we decided to make film about 24 hours of these 5 guys, what is happening, but in these 20, and they're killed. And in that moment in Macedonia, some people were in jail, but it was still on court. So we made the film, we went in Berlin, it was really nicely accepted, blah, blah. And then we were supposed to show it in Macedonia. Suddenly, we were supposed to have a premiere, and suddenly I got a call from our Ministry of Culture. They're locking the film. We need to return the money. This is propaganda. That we are so we were completely said, I'm sorry, how, you know, you think it cannot happen in my country. So, and it was such a, and we were preparing to do Petrunia, and they wanted to get the money for Petrunia. So we were completely out of our mind. How you can, we as artists, we are here to see to speak loudly about, yes, we had always problem Albanians and blah blah. So I don't, not to get, but we fight it and we won, and the film was in cinema, and but it was really, they wanted they made a commission who will look at the film, if it was represented historically right or not, and how we got the information. So it's everywhere, really.
Yeah. So in a way, we can close with the message that the fight will go on, and it's not finished.
Not finished, but we need.
And we saw, so thank you very much for that. We saw that Europe is, for instance, 3 great filmmakers from 3 European countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Europe is as well sometimes a bus where everyone can enter. And now this bus is downstairs, waiting for you. I think Johanna, as the Jeanne d'Arc of Europe, will lead you to this bus. And we're going to, to the east. In the west. In the west. Wiesbaden is in the west. So the east is in the west. Yes.